Tree of Life makes for 10 Puzzle Mystery Quilts that I have been going on, which is almost as long as y'all have been going. And I could not have imagined the journey that I've been on, and it's just been such a great one. So again, thank you. I always try to thank you. Thank you for believing in me and helping me get started in the Puzzle Mystery Quilt. And I could not imagine my quilting journey without it.
This is part of the fun things that we've added with you is that can Ian guess the final layout? And so we've been doing this 15, 16 times, 2,000 people every time. Like, it's huge. And I think in all that time, you were the only one that's ever gotten really close. So if there is someone that is debating whether or not to join the Puzzle Mystery Quilt, what would you tell them? Why should they get on this bus?
Never do it. Never do it, because you're going to get addicted. You will get addicted to them. I can't stop doing the Puzzle Mystery Quilts. They are just so much fun. Even if I wasn't an ambassador, I would be jumping in and working on these because they're so easy. You just have to spend a little bit of time. The no cutting part, I know I think every single ambassador in the preview, I think somebody talked about not cutting. Every single ambassador talks about the not cutting part, but it is so much nicer to just sit and sew rather than have to sit there and cut the fabric and then realize you cut it too small and you have to buy more fabric. You have to go over to the store. You have to buy a new bolt of the fabric.
Hope they have it. You have to hope they have it too.
True. You have to hope that they have that fabric. And that's too complicated for me. Getting that package in the mail and being able to put it together is just what makes the Puzzle Mystery Quilt so much fun. And it's funny because when I was visiting Becca, I was helping her work on her quilt. Which one was that? I was Carnival. I was helping her with Carnival. And I didn't have to record because I do step-by-step tutorials, and I didn't have to record that. And I was like, wow, this goes together so much faster. It was so I don't realize how fast they go together because I am doing the step-by-step tutorial to help everybody with them, but they go together so much faster when you can just sit and sew. And I love that about the Puzzle Mystery Quilts.
Yes, I like everything you just said, right? I love the Puzzle Mystery Quilt because I can just sit and sew, and I can do 3 or 4 clues at a time in a single session. I'm a big chain piecer, and I'm like, okay, these things are just going into my machine, done, and they get set aside. It is like absolutely just, it's a fun, I can feel accomplished. I can still sew. It's not a lot of stress.
It is a great way to bust the loss of sojo. It's a great way to have, because I always say when people are like, oh, Ian, I've lost my sojo. What do I do? I always go for small wins. That's whenever I lose my sojo. I want those small wins that I can be like, I put this together. I made this. And usually it jumpstarts that sojo back. And I love the Puzzle Mystery Quilts because it brings community to me. And I would not have known or ever met Becca if it had not have been for the Puzzle Mystery Quilt.
Oh my gosh. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Thank you so much to Ian. Oh my gosh, off kilter crafter, Ian. I talked to him earlier this week. That was a fantastic interview, you guys. Go check it out wherever you're watching this. Ian was amazing. He gave us tons of insights. Our conversation does as it always does. It meandered, it wove, it dodged, it weaved. It was amazing. So much fun with Ian. Thank you, Ian, for all that you do. We have another fantastic person joining us today, Beth from Goody Goods. She's going to be joining us a little bit later. And she's young, she's hip, she's cool. It's going to be awesome and lots of fun. We'll get to talk about all the crazy things that she does. But before we get started, it's 9:30 Cat and Cats time, people. It is time for us to have get an update. It's time for us to give stuff away. It is time for us to see cool, beautiful fabric. And as always, I appreciate everyone for joining us this morning. I know we are at the end of our first fake spring in the Midwest. We're supposed to get snow tomorrow. Who knows? It might show up, it might not. I would love to be a Midwest weather forecaster and just make stuff up and scare people. So we go to the grocery store and get our bread, eggs, and milk so we can make our French toast. But that's a different life. Okay, so as always, we will start every live by saying if you are joining us on Facebook and on Instagram, be sure to accept all the disclaimers so we can see you actually posting and commenting. My team is monitoring all the channels. They love to answer questions as they come in. So be sure to accept the terms and conditions. Stay to the end of this week's show because we are going to be giving away a Stitch It kit. What's a stitch-it, you ask? Stitch-its are our pre-cut kind of bundles of little bit of Lego joy. So I've always loved those Lego kits that you can buy that don't actually have a pattern with them. I know it's shifted to getting the giant boxes and making a thing, but when I was a kid, I had a tub of just general use Legos, and that's how we look at our Stitch-its. And our Stitch-its drop today at 11 o'clock. In an hour and a half, folks, we have 3 new collections on the website, but our Stitch-its come packaged like so. I actually have some examples. This is our mini version. This is Deco Glow from Juicy Juice. Our mini versions have 150 pieces, triangle, strips, and squares. Get a design wall, lay them out on a carpet, lay them out on a table, and you get to create a whole bunch of awesome stuff. This is our mini version. Excuse me, our mini version is 250 pieces. This is our quick version, slightly smaller at 150. And then this is a big taco. I was playing with this one this weekend when I was sewing with Katie Jolson. This has over 400 pieces. I can make a giant quilt with this. This is awesome. Check back at 11 o'clock when those new collections drop. Very, very limited. So definitely make sure you get in there. Melissa, the Stitch-its are a ton of fun. It is just an opportunity to sit, sew, create, and play with different shapes and layouts. We've given these to our employees and seen what they come up with. And some people put together envelopes, arrows, pinwheels, anything you can create. And so it's a lot of fun to just sit and play and be free to play because you don't have to think about cutting or sourcing the fabric. All the pieces are given to you. So stay to the end of the show and we'll post a question for you to answer to win a free Stitch-it. We will start with our questions. So for those of you that might be joining us for the first time, if you go to cottoncuts.com/live and submit a question, something you're curious about, a burning question, something you want to know more about. I am literally handed this paper like right before we get here to try and stump me or to crowdsource answers to these questions. So we have 2 today. So the first one is from Ramona Ramirez from Clovis, New Mexico. Good morning, Ramona. Thank you for the question. Her question is, how do I create and attach a label to my quilt? Okay, so let's talk about what that means for just a quick second. So a quilt label is oftentimes something quilters put on the back of their quilt as a memory, as kind of what the quilt is, what the quilt does, why it was gifted, why it was given to someone. Sometimes it can be just like a tag, like in the back of your shirt that has a funny saying, like made with blood, sweat, and tears. I've seen that one before. It's kind of funny too, but it's basically just whatever you want to put on the back of your project. So that way, when you gift it, it can be remembered by the person you're gifting it to. Or if you come back to it, it's going to elicit that memory and that emotion from when you created your quilt. So it can be something as simple as what you put on it, what fabric you used, the year, the date, the person you gifted it to, why it was meaningful. Perhaps it's a wedding gift and you can, give best wishes to the bride and the groom. Perhaps it's a big kind of monumental birthday, a 10th birthday, a 50th birthday gift, and you want to remember that moment. I have seen quilt labels expand to be paragraphs. Like actually quilters have printed on fabric and put paragraphs on the back of their quilts with poems. There's no rules for putting on a quilt label. It's really just, what do you want to remember when that quilt is either looked at in the future or looked at by you? Now, how do you attach it? Oh my gosh. So I'm going to crowdsource the answer to this question. If you guys know or have a best practice for how to attach a quilt label to the back of your quilt, put it in the comments and share. I've seen everything from putting fusible, from putting like a spacing me, I can't remember what it is, but like an easy fuse on the back of the label and pressing it on the quilt and then top stitching it. I've seen people hand stitch it into the back of their quilt when they're done. I'm a big fan of stitching it into the binding. So I will actually make kind of a triangle and fold it over and then fold it into the corner of my binding so it stays attached. That could also heat and bond. Thank you, Terry. It was that was escaping me. Heat and bond is the name of the fusible. But I folded a triangle and stitched it into my binding. And then it can also double as a quilt hanger if you're entering it to a show. There's a lot of different ways to attach them, but there's no rules. This isn't a quilt police type area because it's the back of your quilt. It's the back of the project that you made and you can do whatever you want with it. So Ramona, thank you so much for the question. Definitely check out the comments. I'm seeing a lot of good information from folks as to how they attach their quilt labels. All right, next question is from Teresa Day from Concord, North Carolina. How can I get involved in charity quilting? Okay, lots of ways to get involved in charity quilting. So because quilters by nature typically want to give back and want to give away the creations we make, there's a ton of options for charity quilting. So the first place I would stop is a local quilt guild. If you are a member, there's always a charitable giving arm of quilt guilds where they make quilts and they give them away to people. You can do a quick search online, charity quilting near me, and Google knows where you are. They will find someone close to you that you can partner with to find special projects, special initiatives. There is also a lot of blog posts. So Amy Smart, Diary Quilter, I know she has put together a blog post of ways to get involved with charitable quilting and to make projects for donation. And I'm going to encourage you that if you do all this research and you don't find something that you like, create your own, right? Get together with a group of friends and say, hey guys, we're just going to get together and we're going to sew and we're going to donate to fill in the blank. There's tons of places that will accept handmade projects. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people in need. And so every little bit counts. If you can't find an organized organization to partner with, create your own or partner with people and just do good. That I feel like that's kind of a quilter message is do good. And every bit matters. And so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the highest quality. It doesn't have to use your expensive designer fabric. You guys can literally do everything and anything, just so long as you're doing something, and it's always good. All right, Teresa, thank you so much for your question. Guys, if you have another way for Teresa to get involved with quilting projects for donation, put them in the comments and let's see what we can do to help Teresa get sewing for donation. All right. Also, I am reminded that another fantastic way to get involved with charitable quilting is the Cotton Cuts Dress Challenge. So we're at about the halfway point of our 100 dress challenge to make dresses for Dress a Girl around the world. Go ahead, get out those fabrics, make the two-sided dress. We heard from the founder of the organization a few weeks ago. Make sure you have a nice pocket on it for these girls that might not have clothing of their own, to have something that separates them, that have something that they own, that gives them pride and gives them dignity. It's real quick, guys. The dress was not a problem at all to sew. And it has such a big impact, bigger than the fabric, bigger than my time to create it, bigger than your time to create it. I'm encouraging everyone, 100 dresses. We are halfway there. Let's get to that 100 dress challenge. And as always, Cotton Cuts Cares is our organization that takes $5 from every new membership this month and donates them to worthwhile causes. So this month, our organization is Kennel Quilts. They are an organization that collects quilts for dogs that are in foster care or in that are in an organization that needs saving from euthanasia. And they give these dogs quilts to give them comfort in a situation when they might have some medical needs. As everyone knows, I have a foster dog. I have a feeling we're foster failing on this guy next week because he's absolutely adorable. But it was a fantastic experience for us to be able to foster and partner with our local stray rescue organization. So this is something, whatever you're passionate about, if you're passionate about kids, if you're passionate about homelessness, about pets, there's an organization that is going to take your quilt and be able to put it to great use. So we encourage everyone to get involved. All right. So what's happening in the shop this week? This is a crazy week. I thought shipping our whole quilts was a crazy time because it was so much work and so much effort. But today alone, out of the shop, we are shipping our Modern Maker fabrics. Modern Maker this month is an Andover collection by Libs Elliott called Verdigris. It is amazing, like very neutral black grays and very kind of backgroundy type of prints. As we heard from Ian earlier this week, Libs Elliott, when she designs her fabric, uses computer code. So if you look closely, you'll be able to pick up some geeky stuff. I know some people like to hunt and peck for those Easter eggs, but we're shipping Modern Maker today. We are also shipping our spirit kits today. Our first spirit kits are rolling off the production line as I speak, and we're getting those quilts out to everybody to be able to make all those hourglass quilts. And we're also going to ship those stitches. So when they ship at 11 o'clock, they're going to be going out the door tomorrow. Guys, we are really kind of getting caught up on all of our shipping. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about shipping of our Puzzle Mystery Quilts. So this is one of those things, we ship a lot of stuff. And, I was talking with Ian earlier this week. We feel it when things get delayed. It is my understanding the post office is going through a major system upgrade. And so that is news to my ears. I look forward to the upgrade, as when you upgrade everything, there's some growing pains. So we've had a lot of our packages stuck in the mail in the past 3 weeks. Frustrating for us. I get it, equally frustrating for you. And so what I want to talk about is our prepaid quilts for our mystery quilt program. So this actually came as an idea from you guys. So we used to, back in the, a couple years ago, Stone Age, everyone that participated in our Puzzle Mystery Quilt program would receive a mailed clue to them once a month. So it didn't matter how you paid, you would get a clue that would come to your mailbox. And what we found was about 10% of 10% each month would get lost. They would just vaporize. We would put them in the mail and they wouldn't arrive to the person. Frustrating for us, frustrating for you guys, costly for everybody, right? Because if it's costing us more money to send you the stuff, we have to raise our prices. We don't like doing that. That's not fun for anyone involved. So we came up with this concept of mailing all of the fabric at once for those that prepay for our mysteries. So if you are willing to pay everything up front, if you have the means to do that, understanding not everybody can, but if you do, we will send it to you all at once. And it's packaged, all your fabric is already pre-cut, and it's packaged month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, and then we email you the clue. That way you get all of your fabric at once, and then each month when that email hits your inbox, you can start sewing. You don't have to wait and hope that there's no weather in your area. You don't have to wait for your mail carrier to come. You don't have to wait for your package to start in St. Louis and go to Boston and go to California before it goes to Texas. It comes straight to your inbox and you can sit and sew that weekend. You don't have to wait. There's no fuss, no muss. And so I wanted to show everyone we upgraded our packaging for our whole quilts. And so this little awesome box has been coming to people's homes all week for the past kind of couple weeks here. And it has one of my favorite sayings on it: "Come with us, and we will show you the world." And it's the goodness, and I know it's I'm a packaging engineer, guys. I have packaging experience. This kind of stuff I'm super geeky about, and I love it, and I love the color, and it's fun. But what I wanted to do was show you guys what's inside of this box, because not everybody kind of sees what's inside the box. So this is what happens when you open it. You get this lovely box, and it has tissue paper. I love putting as much cotton cut stuff in tissue paper as I can. I feel like it's like my confetti. Like, I feel like we have to have tissue paper in everything we send because I want it to be like a package. I love opening packages at Christmas that have tissue paper. And so it's always something that I want you to feel like you're going to open. And of course, we're live. And so all the artwork completely just fell out of the box. It's okay. We can work with that. So when you open the package, one of the first things you'll see is this little handy dandy swatch card. And so this is specific to the woodland colorway. And it has a whole bunch of frequently asked questions and tips and tricks, right? We've been doing this a while, so we kind of know what's going on, what kind of questions we can help answer ahead of time. And then it gives you the swatch card to tell you which fabric is which. For this mystery, we started emailing these to you guys. What we realized is these are oftentimes misplaced, but if you have a digital copy, you can always reference it. And perhaps you leave it at home and you're on a retreat and you want to sew the project, you can just go to your email and you can get it right there. So everyone comes with a swatch card. They have a welcome letter and they have a sticker. But then this is what I was talking about, is inside each box, there's these little packages, and it's packaged, Clue 2, and it has all the pre-cut parts and pieces inside of it. So when Clue 2 comes, I just grab this, I grab my instructions that have been emailed to me, and I can sit and sew, and I am off and running, gang. And so it goes all the way through. There's Clue 3 and Clue 4, and it goes all the way to Clue 10, which is always the big one on the bottom. And Clue 10 has the strips and the binding that you're going to need to finish the quilt. So literally everything is in this box. If you want to be super organized, you can sew it and put it right back in that box. And that way everything stays together. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible. As I told, I believe, Becca, we want you to get to the end. And so if you have the box, you can put it all together. Now, I've been seeing a lot of questions. And so there's definitely some folks that are asking, like, I signed up for month to month. Can I do this? Yes, you can. Email our help team. We will get you all set up if you want to do this instead. There are so many good reasons to do this. We actually have found a lot less loss of packages when we do this. We're still losing about 10% on the month to month. It's fine. We're keeping that tracking and we're keep monitoring it through the system. These guys have been arriving at 100%. We put a lot of insurance on them just in case, but these guys have arrived 100% of the time. So if you're that type of person that you get frustrated when things are a little delayed getting to you, this is definitely a potential solution for you to consider trying and to look at. Okay. All right. So enough about all the shenanigans and tissue paper and how much I like opening packages. Let's get to the most exciting part of this conversation. We are going to start talking to Beth Gude of Goody Goods. Beth is amazing. She's been an ambassador for us for a couple of years doing our Puzzle Mystery Quilt. She's young. She's hip. She has an awesome energy. She took over our social media channels a couple weeks ago. She's a quilter and a long armor. She gave away a whole bunch of stuff, guys. If you missed that, I am so very sorry. But follow her so you don't miss out again. So with that, we're going to take a tech. We're going to get Beth on the YouTube and on the Facebook. Good morning, Beth. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing very, very good. All right. So I am going to get Beth on Instagram. And so this is always the technical part of the project because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And Beth, I sent you the invitation. And so hopefully.
Oh, there we go. Let's see.
Let
me scroll down.
All right, this is the I feel like my folks got to put like music in this space. Hey, that's Jeopardy. I didn't realize that Jeopardy was still a thing for folks.
I wonder if I jump out and I go back in, will that work?
Let me try inviting you again. Okay, so I'm going to cancel the request I just sent you, and I'm going to send you an invitation again.
There we go. I got it. Yay!
All right. Okay. And we're on. Okay, so this is where we have to test the echo because it's always fun.
All right. How's that?
I'm still getting a little bit of an echo. Can you guys hear an echo for her? Mm-hmm. So what I have learned is that when you go live on Instagram, the audio settings are different than if you're just like looking at Instagram.
Yeah, that's so strange. I just turned it all the way down.
Yeah.
Let's see.
All right. So what can we chat about? Let's see here. Well, so we'll just snoop on Beth's sewing room while she's figuring this out. Some amazing projects hanging in the back. This I love.
Oh, here we go. Nope, that's not the right one. I just muted myself. Every time I turn it off, it turns it back up.
No. So it's okay. Let's see. Are you good? Can we, so I can't hear an echo for me. Can you talk?
I'm kind of scared to start talking. Is there an echo?
Is there an echo, Paula? Are we good? Okay, let's just roll with it. I'm good. My people will figure it out. I know, right? Technical stuff, right? Now can we get to the fun stuff? All right, so Beth, so for those folks that might not know you, tell us your origin story. How did you get where you are? How did you get into quilting? How did you get into YouTube? How did you get on TikTok? All the stuff.
So my grandmother was a quilter. I feel like I have to start with her. Like she is the genesis of my quilting. She made a lot of quilts for me growing up and I loved them. I was that kid that loved all the handmade stuff. She was crocheting blankets and scarves and leg warmers and hats, and the quilts were extra special. When you got a quilt, you knew that she spent so much time picking out the fabric and making it for you. So I really loved them. And it wasn't until my husband bought me a sewing machine for Christmas, and then I kind of just was like off to the races. I made a quilt for my kid and then all of his friends and then all of their friends. And then it just kind of grew and compounded into what it is today, which is it's pretty crazy. I never would have anticipated this. I feel like I'm still hearing me over here.
A little bit.
Let's see if I can turn off my thing. I'm so sorry. I was so prepped for this.
It's okay. It gets us to every time. You were totally fine.
Okay, let's see.
All right.
Microphone. No, that's not it.
Let's see here. I'm wondering who has Let's see here. Okay, so I guess I will ask a question of folks that are joining us while we get Beth set up. So I am actually going this weekend to a soccer tournament with both Lincoln and Dominic, my children. This is the first time all four of us, Mr. Cotton Cuts, Lincoln and Dominic, and I get to go to a soccer tournament together. And I'm going to spend lots of time in the car and lots of time on a soccer field this weekend. So what mobile projects do you guys do when you go on a road trip? Is this something that, do you take English paper piecing? Do you take quilt binding? What do you guys do when you go on a trip? How do you quilt as you go? All right. Go ahead and answer that in the comments, and then we'll come back to that. Greta Sobel, EPPs. I love that, Greta. That's my go-to as well. All right.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay. Are we back? Are we good?
Yes, we're good. We're good. I moved my phone further back, so fingers crossed. It's a little bit better.
I feel like it's better. Okay. So Beth, you told us like grandma, I love that's, similar origin story, right? Everyone has the grandma that has taught them to sew. Okay. So tell us about your first quilt, right? You said you sewed a quilt for your son. Was that your first quilt?
First quilt, my mother-in-law helped me. So she's also a quilter, and she did everything by hand. She pre-washes. She does. Yes, she pre-washes. Like the
1995.
Yeah, I know, right? Like she was the mom that would show up to the baseball tournaments with her little frame, and she would hand stitch these quilts. And so it was really fun to have that bonding with her. And she led me the whole way. She helped me cut, and I was like, I don't think I can do math. Like, I don't even know if I can read a ruler, and like wielding a rotary cutter at the same time seems very dangerous. So she held my hand the whole way, and I ended up making a Daniel Tiger quilt for my now 6-year-old son. And honestly, I'm really surprised that it's even like still together, because the binding was atrocious on that quilt. It was really bad.
So wait, so you've only been doing this for 6 years then?
So he was like probably a year or so. So when I got my sewing machine, it was 2019, right before the big crazy world change. And honestly, I'm really thankful for that timing, because it gave me something to focus on and fully kind of dive into, and not be so focused on the outside noise and everything. So it was really therapeutic. So it's only been about 5 years, almost going on 5 years, 4 years. So I'm technically a COVID quilter, but
oh my gosh, Beth, that is like
sewing machine before then.
But so I know there's so many people that got into quilting as part of the pandemic. And I love that you kept with it, right? There's so many people that, as the world's been returning to normal, of like, okay, I'm going to put the sewing machine back into the closet, right? I got it out. I had my experience. We survived something together, and then I'm going to put it back. But the fact that you're still doing it is awesome. So tell us about your long arm journey, right? That's another kind of milestone trip as well.
Yeah, so I shortly started doing custom quilts after I started making all those. My neighbor was like, "Hey, can you make me a quilt? Do you know how to, like, how much would you charge for that?" And as a newer quilter, I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing, and you want to buy this from me? Like, I'm just kind of testing the waters here. I don't even know how to price this. So anyway, that kind of started me making custom quilts and working with clients. I hate that word, clients, friends, and people who wanted quilts. And then it kind of got to the point where I was making a lot of quilts, and I was kind of getting bored with the stitching that I could offer on those quilts. I was like, man, this quilt would be even more custom and fun and beautiful if I could do this kind of stitching, or, how cool would that be? And so the long arming kind of entered in there, and I kind of just had it as a dream. I don't think it ever would have become a reality without help from my family, and like the support there has been insane. So I was very, 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 very blessed to have a long arm, and I kind of jumped into it scared. Like, that is a huge decision to make. And I remember I just found out I was pregnant with my 4th child, and I was like, let's get a long arm. And so after we signed it, I was like, what have I done? And so I kind of had to jump into it scared. I think most huge decisions you make in life, I'm a pretty impulsive person, but I do think that you just have to jump in sometimes. You have to do the scary things, because you don't know what's on the other end of it. If you have that passion and that desire, and the urge to work for it. I think I'm that person that's like, go for it. You do that crazy thing. You got it. That's very much me because I've done that. And it's important to kind of live scared sometimes.
I'm the same way. I'm like, the first step is always the hardest, right? Everyone builds these blocks. Like, I don't want to do something new because it seems insurmountable. It seems like this big mountain. Like, and I tell my kids all the time, like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? Like, if you're
Yep.
focusing on the elephant, you're missing the point. Like, how do you make it down into that first bite? And that first bite becomes the second and the third. And how do you break it into those manageable pieces? And before you know it, you're like in a short
Yep.
period of time, you've completely gone off into the stratosphere while also creating a lot of life into this world, right? I mean,
Yeah.
right? Like, that is crazy. Okay, so you are huge on TikTok, yes? Is that your preferred platform of choice, or are you on YouTube?
I'm
Or
not on
Instagram?
TikTok because
Okay.
I'm like, I feel like if you get settled into Instagram, TikTok is like a foreign land over there. I don't know how you do videos. I don't know so I really
One bite at a
am
time,
more.
Beth. We just talked about this. One bite at a time. That's
I
it.
guess. That's true. That's true. I should just try it and see how I like it. I'm just intimidated a little bit, but I do spend a lot of time on Instagram. I'm always on here on stories. I'm sharing client quilts. So I am still in disbelief that people are sending me these insane quilts. Like there has been quilts in my house where I'm like, I don't think I want to send this one back. I can just keep this one and cuddle with it because it's so beautiful and I want to hang it up.
You know what's bad for long arm business? Keeping the quilts
What?
open, right?
Yes, yes. That would probably not be a good journey for me, but
Right.
man, it's just I feel like every time I come down here, there's so much inspiration and art and talent and creativity, and it's just a really cool thing that I get to do. I had to sacrifice a few quilts of my own when I started long arming. I was like, well, I'm not taking quilts for a while. I need to really make sure I'm on my game.
Yes, you got
Yeah,
to
so
practice, right? That's one of those
yeah.
bites. That's one of those
Yes.
steps, right? You got to practice. And I think so for me, I am afraid to try a long arm. I will readily admit it, right? It's very intimidating. And I have to find that quilt that I am okay sacrificing, right?
Yeah.
Because you put so much I don't want and I'm in this I don't want to practice on this quilt. I don't want to practice
Yep.
on this quilt. And I
Yep.
feel like I just got to have that quilt that I can just practice on. And I think
Yeah.
there's companies now that are making the whole quilt panels. Like Hoffman does a
Mhm.
lot of them where it's like the flower, right? And I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
just got to get one of those and just draw on it, and just
Yeah.
make a mess and, figure out the boundaries of what the capability is. Because
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, but this quilt is for my niece, and oh, this quilt is for my nephew, and oh, this one is for my kids, right? And I'm always in the oh, but no, oh, but no. And I just got to bite the bullet and go for it.
Yeah, I think there is a huge difference in user friendliness when comparing computerized stitching to free motion. So if you wanted to do a long arm and you wanted a free motion, you have a lot less to figure out because you just have to figure out how to thread your machine, turn it on, and get it stitching, right? But when you add the computerized software, oh boy, like you would think at 2024, I mean, you would think that the software would maybe be a little bit more user friendly, but there are a lot of things to figure out and a lot of buttons. And so yeah, it is very intimidating. But once you figure it out, you get it in a groove and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this now. And then I do this. And your brain just kind of goes into that muscle memory of yeah, I got this. I don't even have to think about it. So if you want to do it, I'm going to tell you, take some bite of that elephant and go get yourself a long arm.
Just go get myself a long arm. Yeah, that'll be like, oh, hey, honey, look what I bought myself for Valentine's Day. Oh, we got to clear out everything in the basement. Yeah, here we go.
Yes,
Mr. Cottontails will
exactly.
probably not take time to do that, but that's okay. It's all right. All right. So on Instagram. So tell us how you build and engage your following on Instagram, right? Because Instagram, it's a different platform. It's very visual. So how do you
Yes.
get people to come and check out all the awesome content you're putting out in the world?
Um, I guess I just share, constantly sharing what I'm working on. I think it's really cool for me when I look at other people's accounts. I like to go to a page and it's kind of like a Pinterest, right? Like you just scroll through and you kind of get lost in the scroll and you're like, "Oh, I like that. Oh my goodness, I need to add that to my must make list. Oh, I love those fabrics. What fabric was that?" So my hope is that I just keep adding things on there, and hopefully if someone does land on my page, they can just scroll through mindlessly and hopefully gain some inspiration for their future projects. because I think that's really cool. That's the coolest thing about having this community is we can kind of learn from each other and inspire each other and motivate. Like, yeah, you could do this pattern. I did this pattern, or yeah, this is a cool pattern or a cool design. You should try it on your quilt. That'd look really great. So I think a lot of that, and then just kind of my biggest thing is just making sure that you're being kind to people and making it a safe place. I feel like sometimes newer quilters might not feel as welcome, or it sounds terrible to say this, but like worthy. Like I feel like we're very hard on judging ourselves, especially when we're newer. So I try really hard to share my mistakes and be very transparent about what's going on, and no, hey, your quilt's amazing. Like I will be your hype girl. If you send me a quilt, a lot of the times people will be like, oh, but there's that part there, don't think about it, and there might be a seam here, and this is just not my best work. And I'm like, shh, just zip it, and I get the quilt in and I see it up close. I see it inch by inch by inch, right? And I don't notice those things. I think as a whole it's beautiful, and the fact that you're able to send a quilt to a long armor and have that under like a fine magnifying glass
Right.
is very vulnerable. So I want to make sure that people are comfortable with that.
And I think that's a common thread for all of our Cuts ambassadors. We're looking for people that are, super transparent, right? Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Nobody is perfect, right? Everybody's included. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner. It doesn't matter if you're a super seasoned quilter. Like those are the people that we want our community to be engaging with, because that's awesome. I think
Yeah.
when we get to the channels, and I mean, they're beautiful and they're inspiring, and I'm always in awe of like, oh my God, look at this amazing. I pin it, but realistically, I know I'm never going to get there just because I just don't have time and energy and
Yeah.
experience and all that good stuff, right? But I like that you have to be patient, because everyone's been there. Everyone has started that first bite of the elephant. We're going to keep coming back to this. I kind of like that first bite. We've all struggled with that, right? And I think
Yeah.
as long as you have that welcoming environment where we've all had that problem, right?
Yep.
And there are no mistakes. And you're absolutely right. You have that unique perspective of the like inch by inch as you're long arming it, right? And it's like, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. Nobody's going to notice it. Like, how many times do you ever lay with the blanket completely flat with like no wrinkles and no waves in it? Like, even like, my dog is laying on top of it, right? Like, nobody's going to see that this triangle is like a 16th of an inch off, right? Like, that is
Yeah.
not a big deal at all. Is it loved? Is it appreciated? Does it have a good home?
Yeah.
All right.
And I think the funny thing is, if you ask any long armor the difference of when they get a client quilt and then when they quilt for themselves. Like when I quilt for myself, I know how I sew. I know that things are going to be wonky, and I just throw it on there and I'm like, it'll quilt out. It'll be fine. So I think if more people knew that long armors do that to themselves and to their own work, maybe they wouldn't sweat it as much.
That's a fantastic tip, right? Ask your
Yeah.
long armor how they treat their own quilts when they're quilting them. That is a
Yes.
fantastic tip. All right. So I'm going to come back to you because you had a different perspective on Instagram than I think I ever have. And that's that you like to go to profile pages and scroll through the actual page. I'm always a feed person. I'm a
Yeah.
feed and I'm a recommended person. I don't think I've actually ever gone to someone's profile page and then like saved and pinned images from their page. I think that's a different approach to Instagram that I think many of our folks who are used to a Facebook where you got to scroll through a feed. It's
Yeah.
different, but I like it as more Pinterest than Facebook like, I think.
Yeah, when I'm posting, I do some social media work for quilt shops, and like my primary goal is like, let's curate a page that when people land on it, they will get stuck in the scroll. They'll be like, "Oh, what's that? What's that? Oh, that's cool. What's that?" And so I think, yeah, just putting that curation on there is great, and it is easier for me to do that because I'm constantly getting in beautiful quilts and client quilts. So I'm highlighting their work, and I'm in a very unique position to be able to compile such a unique list and scroll of these beautiful quilts. If it were just me, there might be a quilt like once a month that you see that's
Right.
cool. But yeah, that's a really cool thing that I like to do because there's just so many beautiful works of art out there, and I want to just save them all and keep, piling up my must make list.
All right. So I need to recap for a second here. So you're a quilter, you're a long armor, you do social media for quilt shops. How many kids do you have?
I have 4.
When do you sleep?
Not often, but I feel like that like having 4 kids is giving me an edge, right? Like I'm used to being sleep deprived and tired, and so I feel like I just thrive in that environment. You know,
Okay.
you kind of get used to staying up and rocking that baby, and you're like, well, the baby's sleeping in the crib. Now I'm going to go play with my sewing machine for a
Oh
little
my
bit, you
God.
know?
4 kids under the age of 6. I guess it's like once they get to a point, you're like, it's been worse, right?
Yeah.
We're doing better. Like things are
Yeah.
moving better. So it gives you more
Yes.
opportunity and time. So tell me, so with all of this, Beth, where do you see Instagram going for you in the next like 2, 3, 4 years?
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I'm just like in the now moment, you know, and I feel like I'm constantly surprised. Like when I jumped on to Con Cuts, I reached out to you guys. I saw my friend Sean, the guy who sews, love him. He's amazing. I saw him sign on with you guys, and he's being an ambassador, and looked like such a cool thing to be part of. And so I think like stuff like that, you don't necessarily always anticipate, and I think that's amazing. I don't know what's going to happen. I would love to just continue long arming and seeing where that goes and maybe doing some partnerships. But other than that, I'm just a girl in my basement, long arming quilts and sewing stuff. And I'm happy with that. If that's what it remains, that's fine by me.
I'm just a girl in my basement, just sewing
Yeah.
away. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that's amazing. All right. So tell us, Beth, you are participating in the Tree of Life Puzzle Mystery Quilt, and you have
Yes.
selected the colorway Olive Grove. So
Oh my
tell me
goodness.
about your fabric choice and how you got to that colorway.
It's gorgeous. Let me just say that. I literally last month, or I guess this month, I was like, Austin, look at this fabric. Look at it. Look at it. No, really, look at it real close. Isn't this beautiful?
Mhm.
I love it. I think it's very similar to the one that I did for Village Green. And it was that Sweet William with the green, and it
Yes.
was very viney and naturistic and stuff. So I think that I was in a comfort zone and I saw that one. I was like, ooh, I really like that. So I picked that one. And then I also signed up and I bought a whole other kit. So I'm doing 2 colorways. I'm doing one as an ambassador with you guys and one personally on the side.
Mhm.
And they are 2 different colorways. They're
So
2
which
different
is your
sizes.
second shadow colorway?
It's I can't think of the name. It's the gray and the black and the white, and it's like moon something or beachy. I don't know. I
Um,
have to find the name.
okay, I think it's like moonlit, I think is probably what you're
Moonlit,
talking
yes,
about. Okay, yeah.
moonlit.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're very different vibes. It'll
Mhm.
be really cool at the end to see the small version in a totally different colorway and a large in a whole other colorway. I'm really
Oh my
excited.
gosh. So I love the small versus the large, right? That's a common
Yes.
question to get. What's the difference between the two? So you'll actually be able to show it.
Yeah.
So Beth, tell us, for anyone who's debating whether or not to join the mystery, why should they join the Puzzle Mystery Quilt?
Oh my goodness, where to even begin? So I think, and I feel like I have said this in my takeover and when we did the reveal for Prairie Village, it is manageable. Okay. How many block of the month
From the
or
ultimate, like I have no time in my life person, for you to
yes,
say it's manageable, right? That's
yes.
really easy. Yes.
Yes, it is, a it's a sweet little slice of my sewing time where I don't have to worry, and I don't have to, like this sounds crazy, but I don't fully have to use my brain, right? Like, I literally am pulling it the most brain activity that I am using at that point is making sure that I'm matching and I'm using my code and, like, this is fabric A, this is fabric B, this is fabric C. That's it. Once that's all organized and laid out and I'm following the clues, I am just mindlessly sewing at that point. And while I'm doing that, I'm accomplishing something that I haven't accomplished in any other block of the month program, right? Like they are so time consuming and there's room for error. That's out of the window on here. Like you can just open up your package and start sewing. And mama four, business owner, wife, all of these things are very demanding. So it's nice to have something that's a little less demanding. And you get a quilt at the end that's beautiful. Like I was stunned by how beautiful my first quilt came out. So I was like, yeah, I'm signing up for 2 on this one. I might give one to a family member if I really love them, or I might just keep both of them. So
I'm the same way. Like at the end of a hard week, right? It's been a lot of long days. Like Friday afternoon, if I can just sit and sew a puzzle mystery quilt, like I feel like like it's a way to
yeah,
decompress as I go into the weekend and whatever the weekend holds for us. And so
yes,
I like it in that you're right. Once you put out your A's, your B's, your C's, your D's, then you can just sit and sew. And then I feel like I'm actually working towards a quilt because I've done those
yeah,
where you get packages in the mail and it's like, okay, I got to cut 2.5. Okay, which dimension? And
yep.
there's a lot more thinking that goes into it than this, where you're just putting the pieces together. Everything fits together. As long as you're consistent, it's awesome and great.
Yeah. And I will say the first I've evolved as a cotton cuts ambassador. So my first quilt, pressing instructions threw out the window. I was like, no, I'm just gonna press willy-nilly and just hope for the best. And it wasn't terrible, you know, again, I'm my own long armor. So I could just
long
quilt
arm
right
that
over
stuff
that.
out.
Yeah. But on this one, I've been really mindful of what the pressing instructions are, and I've been following the directions. And oh my goodness, like, why did I not do that the first time? Thank you for including that and making it so nice to do.
All the seams nest, right? And it's one of those.
Yes.
So I was traditionally raised. I've been quilting for a long time. Press to the dark side, right? Because
Yep.
you want it to go to the dark side so that way you don't see the fabric on the other side. Press to the dark. Press to the dark.
Yeah.
And when I see these pressing instructions, I'm like, I can't press to the light. Like it's going against every fiber of my being. But then when you put it together, all those seams nest. All the bulk
Yeah.
is minimized. Everything just sits put together. And I'm like, this is
Yep.
how it should be, right? All these pieces
Yes.
are coming together. My points are amazing because everything is nesting perfectly if you follow the pressing instructions. Okay.
Yeah.
So Beth, I have one last question for you before we let you get back to your super hectic busy day. Last Sunday was a big day for you, yeah? Like Kansas
Yeah.
City, yeah?
Yeah, it
Tell
was
us.
crazy. It was really exciting. I feel like it's a really hard question to answer, you know, I hate to like dampen it by what happened yesterday, but
Oh,
yes,
true.
last
Yeah.
weekend it was very exciting. After the game, I stepped outside and our whole neighborhood, I mean, I'm pretty sure fireworks are illegal here still at least we get in trouble at 4th of July, but not when the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Fireworks were popping off. There were huge bangs. None of the babies woke up, thank goodness. Everyone was singing and laughing and having so much fun. So it was really exciting. But again, like it's really hard to like talk about that
Yes.
moment, witnessing what happened yesterday, two very polar opposite extremes. So with that being said, I just sending love to everybody in the community and everyone who was there or anyone affected by it. Just sending some hugs and love your way.
Yes. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. You're absolutely right. It's a huge high for you. You're a huge Chiefs fan. And then this moment of celebration and elation. I was even telling my kids, like, cities do this all the time when they win championships. They have parades.
Yeah.
And so how is that going to change going forward given the incident from yesterday, right? And you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. All the families impacted. Our hearts and thoughts are with them.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs won.
Yeah.
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 All right. Thank you so much, Beth. As always, I appreciate your time. I can't wait to see you on the reveal for our upcoming carnival. Yay, yay! And all of your awesome, incredible long arming work. So how can people find you, Beth? That's always my last question.
So you can find me on Goody Goods and it's Goody Goods for a lot of my friends. For some reason, I thought people in real life don't know how to say my name. Like my mom doesn't even know how to say my name. And I was like, let's make Goody Goods and everyone will get it. And so it's Goody Goods. If anyone was confused, just laying it out there. And you can find me at Goody Goods on Instagram. I have a YouTube page, which I haven't been as active on since having my 4th child, but I do some collaborations. I have one coming up with So Becca and a few other creators in about on the 1st. I will have a video drop. So that's exciting. And then yeah, I think it's just YouTube and Instagram. I might be blanking. I do have a website if you'd like to book your quilting and look at my portfolio or gallery. You can go to goodygoods.com. You can book through there. You can get stickers. I have some fun stickers that I made. And yeah, that's about it.
Oh my gosh, fantastic, Beth. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day and we'll be
Thank
in touch.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Bye.
Thank you. All right. So everyone, that was amazing, Beth. She's awesome. She's great. We love her. She's so much fun. Bye, Beth. All right. So we have to give some stuff away, team. So the first thing, and I have been remiss to do this, and we need to do it every week, is the Tree of Life. So a couple months ago, we had this idea that every single person that would be participating in our Puzzle Mystery Quilt for Tree of Life, we would send a leaf to, they would mail it back to us, and we would build this amazing community tree. And guys, it is ginormous. It is huge. It is big. So what I'm going to do is all the leaves that have been received in the past week, I'm going to draw one out of our handy dandy little cookie jar of goodness. And we're going to give Heather Oye from Apopka, Florida. You're going to get something free just because you sent your leaf back to us. Message our team and we will get your goodness, Heather. Thank you so much. This is a beautiful leaf. It's very fall. I love it. And I'm going to show you guys how much the tree has bloomed since we looked at it. So it is here. It is big and it is bright and fun and awesome. Guys, this has completely exceeded our expectations. This tree is super big. We have a video that we're going to be putting up on the website so you guys can kind of see how it grows. You know, lots of people are like zooming in to see if their names are on there. Guys, we still have like several in this jar that are going to get put up there. But it's awesome. It's bright. It makes me happy. It is so much fun. I am so appreciative for everyone for joining along with us and, you know, contributing to our tree. It is beautiful and it is great. And it's going to be amazing when it gets all done. All right. We need that camera further back to see that beauty, Janet. You are absolutely right. It is one of these. Let's see if I can pop this up without dropping off Instagram. Okay. But Paula has been doing a great job taking photos and making videos for us of the tree. So definitely send your leaf back if you haven't already. All right. So as I promised at the beginning, we're going to give away a Stitch It. And so the question that I'm going to ask you is, gosh, I got to think about this now. So, all right. So we're actually going to go back to the one I asked when we had a little bit of a gap. So what is your favorite crafting activity when you go on a road trip or when you're going to be away from your sewing machine for a couple hours? Do you hand sew? Do you English paper piece? Do you even do fabric at all, or do you do an alternate craft? Is there another way in which you can give me tips and tricks for this weekend to pass the time as I drive 5 hours and sit at a soccer field for probably 12 hours every day? So go ahead, wherever you're seeing this video, if it's on Instagram, if it's on YouTube, if it's on Facebook, put that comment in the comments and we will select one lucky person to win a Stitch It this month. Don't forget to join us next week at 9:30. We will have more giveaways. We'll have surprises. We'll talk about our charity blog loop. It's going to be awesome and it's going to be fun. And as always, I appreciate you guys for joining us. And as Ian and I talked earlier this week, I love you guys. Thank you so much for giving us a chance to keep doing what we love best. And we'll be in touch.